Sailor, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way day up she rises. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel Dream Camp Creations. My name is Seth Campbell, and if this is your first time joining me, thanks. I've got some other videos I've been doing called Darkstone Drinking, where I play the game Shadows of Brimstone, and I play a drinking game to that, so I would encourage you to go back and watch some of that. But what you're watching here is the playtest for a board game that I am developing called Eldritch Depths, and I'll walk you through a little bit of what that is, and then what you're going to kind of experience as we go through this, so thanks for joining me. So Eldritch Depths is a action adventure game that I am developing based in this world of kind of this underwater world where the god of the sea, Fathus, kind of rules, and he has various kingdoms underwater, and he is being attacked and overcome by the two moon gods, Selene and Lunas, who have come down to destroy his realm or take his power. And so there's a whole kind of world and lore that I'm developing there, and I'm actually going to maybe write some stories based off of that. So what you do is you play as characters called Deep Wardens, who are his kind of protectors of this world. There are other races and beings in this world, but you are a group of humans who have been chosen to protect the world. And so since he's being attacked by the moon beings, all the other wardens have been killed, so you are a random human who has found some of the powers of Fathus and have been kind of chosen as the new avatars here and are taking on the mantle of Deep Warden. And so you're starting from scratch and trying to overcome the moon gods, build these magical pylons which restore the power of Fathus and help hold back the power of the moon twins and defeat the enemies that come and bring back his power. So the game basically is an exploration game where you kind of bounce around the board, defeating enemies that are corrupted by the moon gods, collecting legendary gear and other items to get more powerful, and build these magical pylons that are made from blessed sea glass, which we'll kind of explain a little bit more, and build those so that it holds back the power. And I have expansions ideas to the game with different worlds and different enemies, but we're kind of in the very, very early stages. So I did one playtest of this already. I just kind of threw some previews on Instagram. Now I'm kind of in a full redo of the game to try to get the mechanics working a little better. So what we're going to do tonight is I have just some goofy index card drawings and some basic dice and pieces, and we're going to put those together, play the game, see what's working, and see what doesn't. So thanks for joining me. So without any further ado, let's jump in and start playing the game. Okay, so we are ready to get going. So I'll explain a little bit of the setup. We'll get the board ready to go and then jump into it. So again, this is, we're going to be playing in the title pool, which is kind of the first world. And I'm looking at some different expansions that would take us into different areas of this world. But we're going to start here, and again, if the game works, then I'll start developing more. But first we have to start with one and see if the mechanics are actually any good. So this is playtest number 2, so we've done one, and I'm kind of tweaked everything, and we're going to see where it goes from here. So some of the things that are different from the last time that I did this, again, I only kind of posted some reels on Instagram. So I didn't post the full playtest, but just to kind of walk you through what I've changed a little bit, gone with a little bit more of an organic layout in the sectors as we travel around. I've also changed how enemies and items are found. So essentially we're going to be playing as Vila de Sorte. She is a new warden who is trying to find out what has happened to the god of the sea, Fathus. He has been captured by the gods of the moon, Selene and Lunas, and they are corrupting the world with their moon magic and their moon rocks and towers. And so she's going to be exploring this tidal realm, trying to build the pylons of Fathus using blessed sea glass. And so there are 4 of those, one in each corner. And so her task is to go build those and then defeat the boss at the very end once she builds those. And if she does that, then she has cleansed this realm of the moon magic, and you can move on to a next realm. So the idea being that you would start with this kind of core set, and you could play this world and then maybe take that character with everything you gathered, move into the next world and play kind of the same scenario, but with different enemies and different mechanics and abilities, and play through like a massive campaign. I'm also playing with the idea of, could you put all the boards together, let's say you bought all of them, and then, you know, play through it in one sitting. I'm not sure if that works because we have some things that we have to track, like the moon moving, and I don't know if that would scale. So we'll see. So there's a lot to go here, but that's the idea. So let's get us set up here. So we're going to start, this will be our moon up here. So our moon is at counter 1. That will move throughout the game. If that gets to the end, we will lose. So that's essentially how you lose. If the moon gets to the end of the moon path, then the game is lost. And there are a variety of ways that will move. One of those being it moves every turn. The other one is whenever a player is KO'd, because that drains the Fathom magic, the sea magic, and so it moves up then. And then it'll also move up whenever this celestial pool reaches 12 celestial tokens, and so enemies can add tokens to that. So that will be another way that could move. So I'll walk you through kind of the areas. So we've got our 4 pylons, so we can move to those to build our pylons to try to hold back the magic. Each of these sectors here have discovery cards, and those will either be items, or they will be chests that will contain items, or they'll be enemies, or they'll be non-playable characters, NPCs, that will have different abilities that we can access. And then each of those sectors have requirements. So we have like sight, pressure, brine, and air. And depending on if you meet the requirements in those, will determine whether you might lose health or things like that. So we'll play through that as we go. We've got a Fathom pool that's good magic. That's going to start at 12. So I'm going to get us some tokens here. Well, actually, no, it's going to start at 0. And then we'll fill it up and we'll be able to access it. Then we have a celestial pool, that's the bad magic, the magic of the shards, the moon shards. That starts at 0, and if that fills up to 12, then the moon moves up. You have Hardor's Gaze, that's the ship that is kind of the hub for our characters. So if they die, they return there, and they can fuse weapons and collect items and get them back. They can also return to it by going over here to the diving bell, and they'll return to Hardor's Gaze. There are also some items that allow you to return there directly. So that's what's happening over there. So just a reminder, this is the early playtest phase, so everything is in very kind of rough form with just quick drawings and things like that. We're not looking for, full-blown art at this point. We're looking to see if the mechanics are working. So we're going to play through and see how it goes. So first thing we're going to do is put a discovery card in each of the sectors on these spots. And then how the turn will proceed is that we're going to play with one character right now, Viola de Sorte. And so she is going to explore the world, looking at these different discovery cards, collecting items, trying to build up her strength, and also collect blessed sea glass, which she will then use to build the pylons. Some of these cards will be enemies, which she'll have to fight. Oh, that's not actually an enemy over there. So these are the discovery cards. So every time she discovers one and either collects the item or defeats the enemy, then it will get a new one at the end of that turn. And so she's going to be, when she gets to an area, that will flip over a card and reveal what is in that sector. So we're looking to collect blessed sea glass, and there's a few ways we can do that. They will either be inside a chest, which might be in one of these discovery cards. We can encounter an NPC who might allow us to get some sea glass, or we can find one of the deep ones, which are like these massive, powerful beings in this world. And if we find a deep one, we can bring them regular glass. They will then bless it, turn it into blessed sea glass, and then we can take that over to a pylon square and turn it into a pylon. Okay, so I think I've gone through it all. So let's get going. So essentially the turn is we start in the divine phase, so we refill all empty spots in sectors if there are any, which there are not at this moment. We draw a divine blessing if applicable, which we don't have right now. And then we move the moon, which it does not move at the start of the game. It would basically start here. And then we draw a lunar event if able. So that would be whenever we land on one of these spots. So if the moon moves up too many times, then we draw a lunar event, and they're usually bad. And then that's the end of the divine phase. So we move on to exploration. So we get to basically move one square to see. So we have to look first at our site. Let's see. So we can. So first we have to look at these requirements here. So we're starting at the bell. So sight is 1, pressure 1, brine 1, and air 1. Viola is a brine 3, sight 2, pressure 2, and air 2. So she's fine here. As she goes farther along, though, things will get harder for her. So this is a sight. These 3 are sight 3, so she cannot see what is in these sectors, is what that means, because her sight is 2. So she won't be able to see what's there until she moves into them. There are some other characters that have higher sight, so that can allow them to see what's in those sectors. And you can then, obviously tell your other players, or they'll be able to see it. So if you're playing alone and you have a lower sight, you won't be able to see those. Right now, if she's in these lower areas, she'll be fine if she moves into them as far as pressure, brine, and air are concerned. But as she gets here, it's going to be a lot harder. So early game, we might be focused on staying a little bit more in these areas because if we move too far too early, we could hurt ourselves. So just for your reference, if a player moves into an area where their brine is not high enough, they will lose 1 health each turn while they're in that area. If they are in an area where their pressure is not high enough, all their attacks are -1. All their attacks are -1 damage. I kind of wrote these before. I'm trying to clarify some of these rules as I go. All attack numbers. Oh, so that would be whatever their number is for their attack. So if you're using vigor for an attack, then if her vigor is 3, it would actually be 2. So your attacks are less powerful. So that's what that means. So this could be really hard. I may have made this too hard, so we'll find out. So basically she's going to move into a sector and see what's in it. And then we'll reveal the discovery card and then move to an interaction phase. So she's going to move here, and we're going to flip over this discovery card, and it is immediately an enemy, corrupted feeders. So that is the end of the exploration turn. We go to interaction, which would be combat. So let's see. Viola gets to attack first. So we're in the combat phase. So basically, Viola will attack, and then the corrupted feeders will attack, and then the combat turn is done, and we'll move to the next phase. And so if she hasn't defeated the corrupted feeders at the end of that turn, she can either stay next turn and try to fight it again, or she can move on and try to reveal another discovery card. But you have to, if you reveal an enemy, you have to fight it that turn. So Viola is going to attempt to fight it. So she has a stamina of 3. So we're going to take 3 attack dice here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to roll them and see if it's an attack. And so she only has attacks. She doesn't have any ranged. And so if we get a ranged or a let's see. Oh yeah, so the dice, so just so you can kind of see, they have attacks and then they have a few misses. And so if it's a successful attack, then we get to apply it to whatever her weapon is. And if it's a miss, then then it doesn't count. So she's got 2 attacks and a miss. So she's got 2 attacks coming at the corrupted feeders. And so what we do here now is we look at what our weapon is and see what attacks are available. And so right now she only has the captain's cutlass. And so her attacks are 1 damage each. And so she has 2 successful attacks coming at the crabs with a vigor of 3. And so the crabs are going to try to block. And so we roll 2 dice for her 2 attacks. And there's a guard and that is a dodge. So what we do then is we compare its guard and its dodge. So we line up guard to the attack, and so it has a vigor of 2. So Viola's vigor is higher, and so it's successful. So she gets 1 damage to the crabs. So we're going to put 1 there, and it has a health of 6. And then, it's edge. Ooh. So right now these crabs are pretty powerful because it guards with edge. Yeah, okay, so we gotta go back. This is not a successful attack because right now it's guard 1. It's man, I'm explaining this terribly. The crab's edge is per crab, and so it starts with 6 because that's its health, and so that's how many crabs there are. So it's an edge of 6. So this first one, it blocks because its edge is higher than Viola's vigor. But the next one, it would be using drift to dodge, and it is drift +1 for each dead crab. So it starts lower. So it starts at 1, and then every time a crab dies, its drift goes up. So right now, Viola's vigor is higher than its drift. So as we kill more crabs, its edge goes down, and as we also kill more crabs, its drift goes up because the crabs can swarm easier. So she killed a crab, so it takes 1. So there are now only 5 crabs left, and so then we are. Yep. So then that's the end of Viola's attack. And so then we're going to move to the crab's attack, and it has 3 different ones. It has its attack 1 is damage at its edge. Its attack 2 is damage 2 using its vigor, and its damage 3 is a heavy attack using its vigor. And heavy attacks can only be dodged, and Viola does not have the ability to dodge yet. Remember, I'm still figuring out some of these mechanics, so I apologize if this gets a little wonky. So let's see what these crabs roll. So they have a stamina 1 per crab, so there's going to be 5 attacks coming. So we have a single attack, we have attack 1, we have attack 2, 2, 2, and 3. And so Viola then gets to block for each, just like the crabs did. So we grab her guard dice, and we're going to see what she can block. And so she has a guard, she has a parry, and she has 3 dodges, which she does not have the dodge ability yet. That's something I may change to see if you have like an initial dodge ability, but she doesn't. So she can't block this. She can't do anything about this heavy attack. So she has 1 guard and a parry. So we need to look at what these crabs' attacks are. So there's attack 1, which is at its edge. So right now its edge, it's 5. And she would be guarding with her vigor. So we wouldn't be able to beat that. So maybe we guard against one of the attacks 2. Vigor versus vigor, because their vigor is only 2. So we could block that, and then we parry. So parry would use our edge, I believe. Let me look back at my rules. Yep. So Viola's edge is 3. so she could parry an attack too. So let's just go through these here then. She has a health of 5, so we have an attack 1, it's damage at its edge. Oh my god, I did make these too hard. So immediately she would take 5 damage and be dead. So Viola takes 5 damage, and we don't even really, the rest of these don't even matter. And so Viola's dead. The crabs still have 1 wound on them, and then Viola would be immediately transported over to Hardor's Gaze. And that is the end of the turn. We go to Reconcile, so so adjacent enemies next to pylons would damage them, which we don't have any pylons yet. Then we fill any magical pools from abilities. So that's it. Then we move up. We move the moon up 1 because she died. And now we start at the divine phase. So Viola's back at the bell. She doesn't have anything she can do in Hardor's Gaze right now because we haven't collected anything. So she's back at the bell. And then, so we're at the divine phase. We refill any empty slots, which we don't have any yet. Then we draw divine blessings, which we don't have. And then we move the moon. So we're already 3 spots in for the moon out of 15. That's not good. And then we're back to exploration. So these crabs are kind of tough right off the bat, so we know that we may not want to go for those. So Viola is going to move to her exploration phase. So she's going to move into this sector. So she still meets all the classifications other than sight. So nothing's going to harm her right now. So we're going to reveal this card. Oh no, and it's more corrupted feeders. Crap, this could get real bad here. And you also fully heal once you're at Hardor's Gaze, so she's back up to full health, but that may not help us much. And then we go back to combat. So Viola is going to attack. She's got 3. And so it is 1 successful attack and 2 misses. So the crabs will block. So that's at her vigor. So they are going to attempt to dodge, which would use their drift. So they are now at a drift 2, but she still wins that. So she's going to get another wound on a crab. I'm sorry, it's only drift 1 because it's a new group of crabs. So she killed 1 crab, so there's 5 crabs left. And then it's the crab's turn, and so they have 5 attacks. She's gonna die again. Oh, we've already learned something. I might have to tone back these crabs because they are a lot harder than I really thought they would be. So we have a single attack. We have a heavy attack. We have a regular attack, number 2. So 2 2s and 1. So 2 1s, 2 2s, and 1 3. Okay. So this was something I didn't really clarify in the rules, how we, what order we go through in attacks. I would imagine maybe it would be up to the player. So let's just go ahead and access her guard dice here. See what we have. We have a dodge, 3 dodges, which we can't do anything about, and then 2 guards. So again, if she guards, that's her vigor, which is 3. She tries to guard these single ones, which their edge is 5. She can't do anything against them, so she could guard these 2, but it doesn't matter because these would kill us. So again, it just doesn't matter. They're going to immediately kill her. So she takes 5 wounds, and she's back at Hardor's Gaze. And I just need to make these pieces so I can grab them better. And that moves the moon up 1, which we're going to be doing a lunar event at the start of the turn. Then, so we don't have any pylons, so enemies can't damage those. We don't have any magical pools to refill right now. Nothing refills them. And so we're back at the divine phase. So we move the moon again. We should probably Yeah, we'll have to maybe change where lunar events are drawn, because I have draw lunar event available, so you probably should do that first. So we're going to draw our lunar event, which is red moon. So any shards that were active right now become red shards. She has not collected any shards. And then enemies are +1 edge and +1 drift. Oh man. Okay. So Viola is back at the bell. We could keep going at these crabs, so we could probably continue to try to weaken these crabs and eventually kill them, but we're probably going to die every turn. So this game's going to be over real quick. So she's going to move over here, reveal this exploration, which is a chest. That's good, so we could draw an item. And it is a sea slug, which a sea slug can be consumed to add 1 damage to 1 attack. So that gives her a little bit of an edge against the crabs. But unfortunately, the moon is going to move up. So there's no combat. This chest is gone because she opened it. And then we are at the reconcile phase. So we fill the magical pools. We don't have anything to do there. And then we're back at the divine phase. So we refill all empty spots. So we put a new discovery card here. So this is again another clarification I have to look at then. Does it reveal immediately? Which I think it would, because she's in it. So it's a red tower. Holy crap. So this is a giant moon tower, has come out of the sky and has landed on the ground. It has a health of 6, so we could attack it every turn, try to destroy it. So any characters without a red shard or -1 sight doesn't really affect a whole lot for us right now, because she has a low sight. Enemies are +1 edge and drift, so these crabs are even more powerful now because of the red moon. And then at the start of each divine phase, we fill the celestial pool 1 and we drain the fathom pool 1. So that's real bad, so we do need to kind of destroy that. Okay, so we've refilled the spot. We move the moon 1. We are now at the exploration phase, so she can either choose to move or she can try to stay and fight the tower. Those crabs are only going to be more powerful because of this tower, and also because we're in a red moon. So she doesn't have a whole lot of options. From this sector, you can see it's blocked off here. She can't actually get to any of these, so really she has to get through the crabs. If she moves to the crabs, they'll kill her, and so she'll go back. So we can't just pass through them. We'd have to survive a fight with the crabs to be able to get through. So she's in a real tough spot. So I guess we'll just stay at the tower and try to see if we can destroy it. So we'll do combat. She's got a miss and then 2 successful attacks. And so she's only got 1 attack ability, which would be 1 damage. We'll go ahead and consume our sea slug and give it +1 damage. So she puts 3 wounds on the tower. And then that is the end of the combat. Towers can't attack. So we go to reconcile. So any enemies next to towers would attack them, which there are none. And then we fill magical pools. So we're going to put a token in the celestial pool. And then we're going to move back to the divine phase. And so we refill any empty slots, which we don't have any yet. Draw divine ability. We move the moon, which activates a new lunar event. So the red moon has passed. We are now at a new moon. So we build a new tower replacing the last pylon. And this is, again, where I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for this. So I think because we have 4 pylon squares, I'm going to roll a d8. We'll call it a d4. So we'll call it 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's going to be a new tower built there. man, so I have to search my deck first and basically find the first tower. So these are some things I'm going to have to clean up because this doesn't work very well. So it's a black tower. So we are now -1 pressure. So we now are negative. So our pressure is 1. So we're now in a square that has a pressure of 2. So we now have less stamina until we destroy that black tower. So that's no good. And then that's also going to start filling up the celestial pool. Okay, so things I've learned already. This game is really hard. I'm going to have to change a little bit. You want a hard game. You want to be able to, have some fun playing it. But you want to also, again, have fun playing it. And right now, I'm not having fun because I'm just getting demolished. So we're in the exploration phase, so she can either move over to the black tower and try to start killing it because her pressure would be a little higher there, or she can try to go ahead and get rid of this red tower and clean up a spot. So, okay, sorry, pressure is all attack numbers are -1. That won't really matter for towers because they don't have a defense. It's air that makes you lose stamina, so we're okay right now. So I think she's just going to go ahead and try to attack the tower again. See if we can go ahead and kill it. And it's 2 hits and a miss, so she puts 2 more wounds on that tower. It is not dead yet. We are done with the interaction phase. We go to reconcile. Again, there's no enemies next to towers, so we would have to kill that tower before we could put a pylon there. And then we fill the magical pools, which we now fill it twice. So the celestial pool is at 3 out of 12. And then we're done. We go to the divine phase, where we move the moon up 1. We're halfway there. We're not gonna be able to do this because there's only a couple things that allow you to hold the moon back, which I might have to change. So draw a lunar event if able. We can't. Exploration, I think we should just stay there. We're going to try to fight the tower again, so we move to combat. It's 2 successful hits, so she does kill that tower. So let's get rid of all of these. Get out of here. The tower, she's destroyed a red tower. And then we're done with that, so we are at the reconcile phase, so we fill the pool 1. And if there was anything in the fathom pool, it would be draining because of the black tower and previously the red tower, but we don't have anything there. So we're back to the divine phase. So we refill all empty slots. Let's hope this isn't an enemy right here. It is. It's a tidal lurker, which is like an octopus, a corrupted octopus creature. So that's definitely going to be bad to fight. We move the moon. And then we draw lunar events, which we don't have, and so now it's exploration, so we can either jump over and try to destroy that black tower, or we can try to kill this tidal lurker, which could give us some items if we defeat it. So let's look at what the tidal lurker has. It has a health of 8. Oh my gosh. A stamina of 8, of course, because I made it an octopus, so I was like, oh, let's just give it 8 attack, which was dumb. And then it's got vigor of 5, edge of 5, drift of 5. My god, we're not gonna kill this thing. Okay, so she's gonna move. Man, god, I don't even know. So enemies are +1 vigor with the black tower. I guess she's gonna hold off on the octopus. She's gonna come back over to these corrupted feeders and then try to attack them. So she's got 3 attacks, but her pressure's lower now, so I don't know if her vigor is going to even be high enough. So 2 successful attacks at her vigor level, which is 2, and then go to our corrupted feeders here to see what they block with. So we roll 2 guard die. We have a dodge and a guard. So the guard, it guards at its edge, which is 5, so it blocks one of those attacks, and then it dodges with its drift, which it's got one less crab, so it would be a drift +1, so it's drift 2. I didn't write down rules for ties. Let's say, just to give myself a little bit of a bonus here, let's say heroes are better at win at ties, so we kill a crab. Whoop-de-doo. So there's now only 4 of 6 crabs left, and then so now we've got 4 crab attacks coming, which they're going to kill her, because of course they are. Yeah, we've got a 1 attack, a 1 attack, and 2 attacks. It doesn't even matter. She can only so she would block. She would try to block 4 of them. She has no dodge abilities, so we've got a guard and 3 parries. Again, even if one of these gets through. So her parry uses her edge, which is 3. But their attacks are using their edge, which is 4. So even if one of these gets through, she's dead. Oh no, she's not dead because she'd only take 4 damage now. Okay, so this changes things, so we might not die. So let's parry this one. So she's going to try to parry this one. So her parry is, or no wait, let's see. Their drift is 2, and her parry is 3. So if we parry the 2 here, the 2 attack, she gets it. And so her parry equals 1 instant attack back, which they can't block, and it takes a wound, which I think they can't block back. I'll have to. That's kind of how I made the rule, is like a parry, you block it, and then you get an instant attack that they can't block. So she kills 1 crab, so there's 3 crabs left. So now they are at a drift of 3, but now and only an edge of 3. So that could help us. So if we now then go to guard, she would guard with a vigor of 3 against this single attack, which is now only attacking with its edge. She blocks it, because we're going to say that we win at ties. And then she could use a parry, which is her parry would be at her edge, versus a single attack, which is at edge. And we would block it, then get an instant attack, kill a crab. And so we now have only 2 crabs left. So they are now at drift 4. Let's see. No, there's 4. Yes, they're at drift 5, and but they're only at edge 2. So then they're attacking with this one, which is a damage 2, and so it attacks with its vigor. And we have a parry, which is at edge, so we can parry. We can block it, and then parry. And so there's only 1 crab left. Nice. Okay. So we might kill a crab next turn. Sweet. It's still not going to be enough because we're about to move up. So, okay. Let's end there then. So we go to the reconcile phase. There's no pylons. We do fill the pool up. And then we are at the divine phase, so we refill empty spots, which we don't have any quite yet. Move the moon, draw a new lunar event, which is over here. It is a eclipse, so new enemies do not activate for 1 turn. So while we're in this new moon phase, anytime we pull up a new enemy, we get to attack them without them attacking back. So this would be a good time to like move on to a different enemy, so we might need to move over here. I don't think we're going to do anything about that black tower right now. Again, I'm going to lose. I'm not going to make this. And then, yeah, so we move to exploration. I think it's our best bet to just stay here and try to kill these last crabs. So we're going to attack with 3. So 1, 2, 3, but our vigor is at 2 now. So first we have to see if these crabs block anything. So we get 3 block die, and it has a buff. So it does, so it fills the pool, a buff that basically negates an attack, or it decides not to block and instead buffs the pool. And then it has a dodge and a guard, but because there's one buff here, we get an attack that goes through, we kill the crabs, one set of crabs is dead. That's awesome. Get out of here, you stupid, stupid crabs. And then they drop one shard. So we get a shard, which I guess according to the, no, it would just be any shard. So this is where it gets a little funky. Do I get to pick my color shard? Because all my shards are tokens. Yeah, I guess what we'll do is we'll just mix all the shards up. And we'll just grab a random shard. So again, a lot of things to really clean up here, a lot of specifics to kind of go through. So we got a black shard. So we are no longer at -1 pressure because we have a black shard. Well, we don't have it fused yet. We have to go to Hard Horse Gaze to get it fused. So we have a black shard. If we fuse it, we then get special shard abilities, which would give us +1 stamina, but -1 pressure. So maybe I didn't do that quite right. Alright, so that's the end of that. So we're going to move back up to the divine phase. So we refill the empty slots. So that's going to be a tidal lurker there. That's no good. And then we draw divine blessings, which we don't have. We move the moon up. We only have 5 spaces left before we die. And then it's the interaction phase. So we have not earned anything good that we can use. We are in this place, so we could move over here and see if there's anything good over there. So I guess we'll just do that. So we'll move to exploration. We'll move over here instead of fight a tidal lurker. We'll reveal this card. It is a chest. So it's the interaction phase. So we'll open up the chest and draw a card, an item, and it is glass. So it's just random glass, which is not blessed yet because there are no deep ones on the board. And then that's the end. We move to reconcile. So there no pylons, nothing gets attacked. We do fill the pool once. We're getting close to moving the moon for that, and then we're at the end of the turn. So we're back up to the divine phase. So we refill the empty sectors. So here we are here, and it is a shard spitter, so it's another enemy. And we move the moon. And yeah, so we can either keep moving or we can fight. So, I mean, this is kind of where we're at right now. I'm going to lose. So my choice is to either try to kill some enemies or just keep exploring. Basically, there's nothing I can do to keep the moon back. So even if I found a deep one, I don't even have enough glass to turn into blessed glass to build these pylons. So there's nothing I can really do. So I'm just gonna explore. So I'll just go over here, and then we move into the interaction phase. We flip it over. It's a chest times 2. So we get 2 items, which are another random, another unblessed glass, and a, let me flip my card over, red kelp, which red kelp is nice, but it's just probably not going to help us at this point. I don't even know if I have, there we go. We'll just say that's red kelp. Here we go. Red kelp allows us to, what does red kelp do? Red kelp. I can wound myself once to restore stamina. So, alright, and then we move to the end. Reconcile phase. We fill the pool. I don't even know where we're at over here. We've got, let's see, 5, So we're at 8 out of 12 in the Celestial pool. We move back up the Divine phase. We draw a Lunar event. So it's Super Moon, all enemies attack first. We definitely don't want to be attacking any enemies right now. And then, and we refill this. Oh. No, yeah. So we refill this. It's a tidal lurker, so we don't really want to stick around. So we'll move. We'll explore. We'll interact. It's a blue tower. And we're done. And into the phase, back up to the Divine phase. Refill the empty spots. Fill the pool. Moon moves. All right, we're gonna call it there. Basically, I'm dead in one more turn because the moon's gonna move up, or I'm gonna die from an enemy and it's gonna move. So we'll stop the play test there. Okay, so it went, more or less about how I expected it to be. We're still in the kind of early stages, so things are definitely need to be reworked. We'll just kind of recap a little bit of what I've learned, and then I'll kind of dive into some other videos, and we'll give it a retry. First off the bat, those enemies are way too tough. So let's talk bad, right? So or what's not working. So the enemy's way too tough. Those corrupted feeders right off the bat just kept killing us, and we kept bouncing back, which, on some level is not terrible. Again, if you've watched some of my other stuff on Instagram, I was kind of going for a Bloodborne type vibe with this. Like, I want difficulty. You want to be able to jump in there, get hammered a little bit, and then come back. But we got hammered a little too hard. So those corrupted feeders, a little too tough. And we just weren't collecting the glass. Like, there was just no way to actually build those pylons. I thought maybe I had it dispersed out a little bit better so that we could actually get the materials we needed to complete the mission of the game, but we just didn't. And the moon was moving too quickly. So I like the moon moving automatically because it gives a sense of urgency, and without that, if you don't have that, if it's only moving on different conditions, then you run the risk of the game not progressing, or you feeling like there's no incentive to maybe keep moving and progressing a little bit. So I like that sense of urgency. So I do want to keep that to some level. I think we're just going to have a way to be able to move your character and your progress forward at the same rate as the moon is moving, so that it feels like you could actually win this game, which we do at the end of the game want to be able to win, at least sometimes. If you play games like Defenders of the Realm, that's one of my favorites. Like, I've lost that game more than I've won, but I always felt like I could get there. So close every time. So I want that. So even if you lose, I want you to feel like you just the wrong choice or just the wrong combination, and just kept you from there, but you could do it. Next time you're going to be able to do it. So so we're going to try that. I like the basic mechanics of you move into a space, you see what pops up, and then you encounter it. Maybe and then you interact with it. Maybe I might throw in like some events or some other things more than just enemies. So right now I have enemies, NPC characters, and chests, and then we didn't even encounter the deep one or like some legendary items or anything like that. So those are the things that you're getting in those discovery cards, which right now we mostly got enemies. So it might be the discovery deck might be a little enemy heavy. We only had a couple chests. I think the deep one is an integral part, because to get some blessed glass, unless you find it randomly, you have to have a deep one. So one of my earlier playtests, I had a deep one always there. I don't know if I want to go back to that, but maybe there's a way to get them in there a different way. So I'm not sure. I like the towers randomly popping up. That gave some good surprise. I've got to play with some, tweak how some of these things happen. And I don't mind having a lot of enemies, but it just felt like it was just enemy and chests and mostly enemies, and we just weren't getting anywhere. The game was not progressing. Like, we didn't get towards our goal at all. We didn't even build 1 out of 4 towers. So right now it's just too hard. We're just not advancing towards those game goals. So I've got to rethink some of that. I do like how I've got each little sector with its requirements of like sight, pressure, brine, and air. So it gives you a sense of, the further you want to go. We kind of stay a little safe in the beginning here. So maybe there's a way to make the enemies reflect that too. I'm not sure yet. Like it's a little easier up front. And so maybe there's a way to like build a tower faster, and I don't really know how to do that yet, but I'll think about it. And then as you get a little deeper, it gets a little more dangerous and a little harder. And I like that too. That gives that sense of game progression. And I want that overall too. Like if you go to the next level, let's say there's another expansion of this game, you want it to feel a little harder than the last one, even if you're, going in with a character who's more leveled up. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. Overall, much better than the first one. I think we're on the right track. I just have to tweak now some enemy things. I think combat was kind of fun. I've got to tweak some, again, just how the language of some of the rules are, and that'll, get nailed down eventually. But I kind of like that, being able to, roll your dice. You get successful attacks or not successful attacks, and then you apply those to a weapon. Right now we only had one weapon to choose from, so we didn't have a lot of attacks to base, and we also didn't have any ability to dodge, which I might change that. So still tweak it, but overall I liked the idea of the combat. I think that worked much better than the last one, so I think we'll go with that. But anyways, cool. So second playtest done, so I'm going to hit these rules again, and we're going to, fourth Saturday of the month, we're going to come back. I believe that's what's on my schedule. We're going to come back, we're going to do this again, so I got some work to do. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll see you next time, and go watch some of my other videos. I got some cool ones coming up over time here, so stay tuned for more. Bye.